Well, now to that new audio recording obtained by CBS News of former President Donald Trump discussing secret documents at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. CBS's Catherine Herridge reports the recording is likely a key piece of evidence in the federal government's classified documents case against Trump.
Today, the former president defiant on the campaign trail.
We did nothing wrong. This is a whole hoax.
After CBS News and other media outlets obtained an audio recording where the former president 2 years ago allegedly shared with a group at his New Jersey golf club a sensitive Defense Department plan of attack on Iran.
It is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. Look at this.
The recent criminal indictment of the former president for the willful retention of national defense information includes a transcript of the conversation allegedly between Trump, a book writer, a publisher, and two staffers. The indictment says none had security clearances.
All right, Adam in the building, let's make some noise. A leaked court recording from a private Trump deposition has surfaced, reportedly capturing admissions prosecutors have long sought. The audio could reshape the legal and political landscape in a single stroke. Just hearing his own voice confirm what his lawyers have been insisting isn't true has completely upended every defense strategy they've carefully constructed. The reaction was immediate and ferocious. Lawmakers scrambled into emergency meetings, staffers worked through the night, and new impeachment articles were filed before anyone could even catch their breath. Yes, you heard that correctly. We're potentially looking at another impeachment proceeding, because apparently that's just the reality we're living in now, where removing a sitting president from office has become almost routine political theater, rather than the extraordinary constitutional remedy it was always intended to be. This leak didn't emerge from some obscure blog or fringe conspiracy theorist's basement operation. This came from actual insiders, people who were physically present during this closed-door deposition, individuals with direct access to what was said and recorded. They made a deliberate choice that the public needed to hear what transpired in that room, and they took the extraordinary step of making that audio available.
Tonight, for the second time in just over a year, the House delivering Donald Trump a historic rebuke, now making him the first president ever to be impeached twice.
The President of the United States incited this insurrection, this armed rebellion against our common country. He must go. He is a clear and present danger to the nation that we all love.
A single article of impeachment accusing the president of incitement of insurrection in his remarks before last week's riots began.
Donald Trump is a living, breathing, impeachable offense. It is what it is.
It wasn't another country that attacked us, but our own president.
All 222 House Democrats voting in favor of impeachment. And unlike the first impeachment of President Trump, where no House Republicans supported it, this time 10 broke ranks, including Jamie Herrera Butler.
My vote to impeach our sitting president is not a fear-based decision. I am not choosing a side. I'm choosing truth. It's the only way to defeat fear.
The political implications are staggering. Democrats are already declaring this the final nail in the coffin for Trump's defense strategy. The smoking gun they've been waiting for, the piece of evidence that finally breaks through the noise and reveals the truth. But here's what makes this different from every other controversy that has swirled around this presidency. It's not just about the recording itself. It's about the timing, the immediacy of the response, the chain reaction that was triggered the moment this audio entered the public domain. The second it dropped, lawmakers didn't pause to analyze or debate or hold hearings. They moved immediately, filing fresh impeachment articles, calling this a confession in public statements, insisting that this destroys whatever remaining legal and political defenses Trump might have had. They're framing this as an official impeachment clock starting to tick, like we're suddenly on a countdown to something monumental. Now, let's talk about what this means for the broader political landscape, because this isn't happening in isolation. We're barely into Trump's second term, and already we're discussing impeachment again, which is absolutely wild when you stop and think about it.
This is real, Mr. President. There is a countdown to impeachment. I have been very patient and waiting. I thought others might want to do what has to be done, and I say it has to be done. People can differ with me. I say it has to be done. It is the only tool that we have to bring you under control, to let the world know that we are opposed to what you're doing, and we're willing to take action against you. This is it. This one word, impeachment. Mr. President, I assure you, articles of impeachment are going to be filed, and they're going to be filed in the very near future, because we cannot allow the world to believe that the Congress of the United States of America will do nothing when people are being killed in the streets under circumstances that are clearly questionable.
The Justice Department isn't sitting this one out either. They've just announced a fresh investigation based on these revelations, issuing new directives, launching new inquiries, spinning up the entire legal machinery once again. Legal experts and media commentators across the spectrum are calling this a game-changing moment. Some are suggesting this could genuinely seal Trump's fate, while others warn it throws Congress into total chaos, which frankly seems like where we already are. But we need to understand the broader context here. This connects directly to much larger debates that have been simmering beneath the surface of American politics for years. Questions about presidential immunity, executive privilege, and how far investigations can actually reach when they're targeting the most powerful office in the land. Right now, some justices are weighing whether Trump deserves unprecedented protections that could set massive precedents for every future president who occupies the Oval Office. So this isn't just about one man and one recording. This is about the institution itself, about what limits exist on presidential power, and about whether anyone can truly hold a commander-in-chief accountable for their actions while in office.
The U.S. Supreme Court today issued two major rulings that significantly expand presidential power and President Donald Trump's attempt to further reshape the federal government.
In a 5-4 ruling written by Chief Justice John Roberts, the court's justices said the president does not have the power to fire Lisa Cook, a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. In the decision, the Chief Justice wrote, quote, "To accept any one of the administration's arguments would in effect transform the Federal Reserve's for-cause protection into at-will employment, an interpretive leap out of step with the statute Congress enacted and our nation's tradition of central banking protected from political interference." But in a separate ruling issued today, Justice Roberts handed the president broader power to fire the heads of independent agencies, overturning a nearly century-old legal precedent. In that case, which involved the removal of Federal Trade Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter, the Chief Justice said, quote, "Subordinates who exercise the president's power are subject to removal by him."
The fallout from all of this is going to ripple outward into the 2026 election cycle, into public trust in government institutions, into how voters perceive the entire political system. Every time something like this happens, every time we go through another impeachment drama, it fundamentally changes how people view their government. Some citizens lose faith entirely, becoming cynical and disengaged. Others get more energized, more determined to fight for their side. But nobody stays neutral, nobody remains unaffected, because these moments force everyone to choose. What makes this particularly urgent is the immediacy of it all. We're not talking about something that happened years ago during a previous term. This is happening right now. Investigations are launching as we speak, articles are being drafted, the media is in overdrive, and public opinion is fracturing down the middle exactly as it always does with anything involving Trump. Half the country sees this as justice finally catching up to a president who has dodged consequences for too long. The other half views it as yet another witch hunt, an endless persecution campaign that never stops. So where does this go from here? What happens in the next few days, the next few weeks? Because if history teaches us anything, this is just the opening act. This is the moment where everyone picks their side, where cable news goes into 24/7 coverage mode, where social media becomes absolutely unhinged, where even your family group chat turns into a war zone. And honestly, that's the real story here. Not just the leak itself, but everything it triggers, the chain reaction, the impeachment clock, the investigations, the political firestorm consuming everything in its path. This audio, whatever it actually contains, doesn't exist in isolation. It exists in a country that's already deeply divided along every possible line, in a capital that's been dysfunctional for years, in a media environment that's hyper-partisan and constantly looking for the next outrage. So when something like this drops, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire that's been burning since long before Trump ever entered politics. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. The Capitol erupting, lawmakers freaking out, Trump's team scrambling desperately to contain the damage, Democrats moving full speed ahead with impeachment, Republicans circling the wagons and preparing for battle, the Justice Department investigating, and all of us just watching it unfold in real time. So yes, this is huge. This is messy, chaotic, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better, if it ever actually gets better. Let me walk you through exactly what's happening, what this recording allegedly contains, why lawmakers think this is their smoking gun, and what comes next in this absolute circus of a political moment. Before we dive in, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. We've been here before with Trump, multiple times. There's always something, always a new investigation, always a new scandal, always a new crisis that's supposedly going to bring him down. But this one genuinely feels different. The speed of it, the intensity of the reaction, the way lawmakers are responding without hesitation or caution. They're not waiting for more information or holding hearings to build a case slowly. They're going full throttle immediately, which tells you something about either how serious they think this is or how desperate they are to make something stick this time around. Now let's actually dig into what we know and what we don't know, because there's an enormous amount of noise right now and very little clarity. First, the recording itself. Where did it come from, and what's allegedly on it? This audio emerges from a closed-door deposition where Trump was being questioned under oath about details related to ongoing investigations. The exact content of what he said is where things get murky because the leak didn't come with a full transcript. It came with selected clips, chosen moments, the parts that supposedly show Trump admitting to things his lawyers have been publicly denying for months. Prosecutors have been making certain claims for an extended period. Claims about what Trump knew, what he authorized, what he was involved in, and Trump's team, they've been saying none of that is true. They've insisted the facts are being twisted, that accusations are being fabricated, that everything is just political warfare dressed up as legal proceedings. But now, according to people who've heard this audio, Trump's own words line up perfectly with what prosecutors have been saying all along. He's allegedly confirming their version of events, acknowledging details he should have been contesting, all in his own voice. Can you imagine being Trump's lawyer right now? You spend months crafting a defense, building a narrative, telling everyone your client is innocent, and then suddenly audio leaks of your client saying the exact opposite. That's a nightmare scenario that no defense attorney ever wants to face. But let's pump the brakes for a moment, because we don't have independent verification of what's actually on this tape. We have reports, we have lawmakers reacting, we have breathless media coverage, but the full unedited recording hasn't been released publicly, at least not yet. So, are we absolutely certain this is as damaging as people claim, or is this being hyped up for political purposes? That's the question everyone should be asking, but nobody is, because we're all too busy reacting emotionally. What we do know for sure is that lawmakers filed new impeachment articles within hours of this leak. Democrats specifically saying this is the evidence they've been waiting for. Proof that Trump violated his oath, that he abused power, that he deserves to be impeached and removed from office. Now, impeachment isn't new for Trump. He's already been impeached twice during his first term. Both times he was acquitted by the Senate. So does a third impeachment even matter, or is this just more political theater? Well, here's the thing. It matters because of timing. Trump is in his second term now. He can't run for president again. So what's the point of impeaching him? He's already term limited. He's not going anywhere after 2028 anyway. But Democrats aren't looking at it that way. They're saying this is about accountability, about setting a precedent, about showing that no president is above the law. Even if impeachment doesn't remove him from office, it still sends a message. It still goes in the history books. It still shapes how he's remembered. And Republicans, they're absolutely furious. They're calling this a political hit job, a coordinated leak designed to damage Trump. They're saying Democrats are weaponizing the justice system, using investigations as political tools. And they're pointing out that we don't even have the full context of this recording yet. So, who's right? That depends on what's actually on the tape and what the full context reveals. But good luck finding anyone willing to wait for that information. Everyone's already picked their side, dug in their positions, and prepared for battle. Now, the Justice Department has just announced a fresh investigation based on these revelations. That means subpoenas, witness interviews, document requests, the whole legal process starting over again. And here's where things get incredibly complicated. Trump's legal team has been arguing for presidential immunity, saying that a sitting president can't be prosecuted for actions taken while in office, that the presidency itself provides protection. Some justices seem sympathetic to that argument. They're weighing unprecedented protections that could shield Trump from these investigations entirely. But if this audio is as damaging as people claim, that makes the immunity debate way more complicated. At what point does immunity become a shield for lawbreaking? That's the critical question. And it's a question with massive implications, not just for Trump, but for every future president. Let's explore what this means for Congress. Impeachment is a political process, not a legal one. It doesn't matter if Trump broke the law in a technical sense. What matters is if Congress thinks he did, and if they have the votes to do something about it. Right now, the House could probably pass impeachment articles. Democrats have the numbers there. But the Senate is a completely different story. You need 2/3 of the Senate to convict and remove a president. That means 67 votes, which means you need Republicans to flip. And that's not happening in this political environment. Republicans are sticking with Trump, even the ones who privately think this is bad, because crossing Trump means losing your base, losing your primary, losing your career. So even if the House impeaches again, the Senate won't convict again, which means Trump stays in office again. But here's what people miss. Impeachment still matters, even if it doesn't result in removal because it dominates the news cycle. It energizes both bases, it shapes public opinion, and it creates chaos in Washington, which honestly is probably the point. Democrats know they can't remove Trump, but they can make his second term a living nightmare. They can tie up his agenda, force Republicans to take tough votes, keep investigations in the headlines. Trump knows this playbook well. He's been through it before multiple times. So his response is predictable. He'll call it a hoax, a witch hunt, political persecution. He'll rally his base, attack the investigators, claim he's the victim, and his base will believe him because they always do. Meanwhile, the rest of the country is watching this unfold with a mix of exhaustion and outrage. People are tired of investigations, tired of impeachments, tired of the constant drama. But here's the reality. This is the new normal. This is what politics looks like now. Permanent investigation, permanent scandal, permanent warfare between the parties. And this leaked audio is just the latest weapon in that ongoing war. Now let's talk about the media's role, because the coverage of this story is fascinating. Some outlets are treating this like the biggest scandal in American history. Others are downplaying it entirely. And depending on which channel you watch, you'd think we're living in two completely different realities. That's the problem with stories like this. They get filtered through partisan lenses, and by the time they reach the average person, the facts are so distorted that nobody knows what's actually true anymore. So, what is true? What can we actually verify? We know a recording exists. We know it leaked. We know lawmakers are reacting. We know investigations are launching. Beyond that, it's all interpretation, all spin, all speculation. Think about the timing of this leak. Why now? Why not weeks ago? Why not wait until more evidence comes out? Someone made a calculated decision to release this information at this exact moment, and that decision was probably strategic. Maybe they wanted to influence ongoing investigations. Maybe they wanted to put pressure on Trump before a key legal deadline. Maybe they wanted to shift the news cycle away from something else. We don't know, but leaks always have motives. And in Washington, motives are everything. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing leaks without a reason. Every move is calculated, every statement is tested, every action has a purpose. So, when you see this audio leak, don't just think about what's on the recording. Think about who leaked it, why they leaked it, what they hope to accomplish, because that context matters just as much as the content. Now, let's strip away the hype and focus on the core story. The recording itself, whatever is on this tape, is significant enough that insiders felt the need to leak it. That tells us something. It tells us people inside the process think this is important, think the public deserves to know. But it also raises questions. Who leaked it? Why now? What's their agenda? Is it a whistleblower trying to expose wrongdoing? Or is it a political operative trying to damage Trump? We don't know, and that matters because it shapes how we interpret the information. The content of the recording, based on what lawmakers are saying, appears to show Trump making admissions, confirming details, saying things that contradict his public statements and his legal defense. How damaging is that? Depends on the specifics, depends on the context, depends on what he actually said versus what people claim he said. Because here's the thing about leaked audio. It can be edited. It can be taken out of context. It can be framed in misleading ways. I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm saying it's possible, and we should be skeptical until we hear the full recording ourselves. The impeachment articles. Democrats are moving fast. Filing articles, calling for investigations, talking about accountability. But let's be honest, this is also about politics, about keeping Trump on defense, about energizing their base heading into 2026. Does Trump deserve to be impeached? That depends on what's actually on the recording and what the law says and what Congress decides. But the political calculation is clear. Democrats think this helps them, Republicans think it hurts them, and everyone's acting accordingly. The problem is, impeachment has become so routine that it's lost its power. When you impeach a president 3 times, does it even mean anything anymore, or does it just become background noise? I think we're finding out. And the answer seems to be, it depends on your political tribe. If you already dislike Trump, this confirms everything you believe. If you support Trump, this is just more proof of persecution. Nobody's changing their mind. Nobody's reconsidering their position. Everyone's just digging deeper into their bunker. And that's the sad reality of where we are. The Justice Department investigation is where things get real, because unlike impeachment, criminal investigations have teeth. They can result in charges, trials, convictions, prison time. But presidential immunity complicates everything. If Trump has immunity, then these investigations go nowhere. If he doesn't, then he's in serious trouble. And that's being decided right now, by judges, by justices, by courts. So the legal process matters, the evidence matters, the constitutional questions matter. But again, it's all filtered through politics because judges are appointed by politicians, and everyone knows which president appointed which judge. So, does anyone really trust the system to deliver impartial justice? That's the sad reality. Trust in institutions is so low that people assume outcomes are predetermined, assume everything is rigged, assume their side is being persecuted, and the other side is getting away with murder. And maybe they're right or maybe they're wrong, but the perception is reality, and the perception is that nothing is fair anymore. What comes next in the short term? More chaos, more hearings, more investigations, more media coverage, more outrage on social media. The impeachment process will play out, probably in the House, probably not in the Senate. Trump will survive again, and everyone will claim victory. Democrats will say they held him accountable. Republicans will say they protected him from a witch hunt. And the country will remain exactly as divided as it was before. In the long term, this shapes 2026. This energizes voters. This gives both parties ammunition. Democrats run on corruption and accountability. Republicans run on persecution and witch hunts. And voters, they're exhausted. They're tired of the drama, but they're also locked into their positions. So turnout becomes everything. Whichever side is more motivated wins. Here's the bigger picture, though. This story isn't really about one leaked recording. It's about the state of American politics, about how dysfunctional things have become, about how every issue becomes a weapon, every revelation becomes a scandal, every disagreement becomes a crisis. We're living in an era of permanent political warfare, where the goal isn't to govern but to destroy the other side, where compromise is weakness, where nuance is betrayal, where the only thing that matters is winning. Trump is both a symptom and a cause of that reality. He didn't create this environment, but he's perfected it. He knows how to use it, how to weaponize it, how to turn every attack into fuel for his base. Does this leaked recording matter? Yes and no. Yes, because it could have legal consequences, because it could shape investigations, because it reveals new information. No, because politically it doesn't change anything. Trump's supporters won't abandon him. His opponents already hated him. And Congress will do what Congress always does, divide along party lines and accomplish nothing. That's the frustrating truth. In a normal political environment, a leaked recording like this would be huge. It would shift public opinion, force accountability, change the game. But we don't live in a normal political environment, and nothing, no recording, no testimony, no evidence is going to change that. So buckle up because this is just getting started. The Capitol's going to stay in chaos. The investigations are going to keep coming. The impeachment clock is ticking, and all of us, we're just along for the ride. One last thing, keep your eyes on the immunity debate, because that's the real game changer. If Trump gets unprecedented protections, that reshapes the presidency forever. It gives future presidents a blank check. It makes accountability nearly impossible. And if he doesn't, if immunity gets denied, then we're looking at potential criminal charges, actual trials, real consequences. The Supreme Court is going to weigh in on this eventually. They have to, because this question, can a sitting president be prosecuted, is too big to leave unanswered. And whatever they decide, it sets the precedent for decades. So while everyone's focused on the leaked audio, on the impeachment drama, on the daily chaos, the immunity question is quietly working its way through the courts. And that decision, that's the one that actually matters long term. Because presidents come and go, investigations come and go, but constitutional precedents, those last forever. So yeah, this matters. Even if it feels like just another scandal in an endless parade of scandals. Stay tuned because this story isn't over, not even close. We're probably just at the beginning. The leak is out there, the investigations are launching, the impeachment process is starting. And knowing Trump, knowing how these things go, we're in for months of this, maybe years. It's going to dominate headlines, consume Washington, drive everyone crazy. But that's where we are. That's the reality, and we might as well buckle up and watch it unfold.